Color has always been my nightmare. I don't know why they sell coloring books for stress relief, but coloring within the lines is the source of my anxiety. 6-year-old me loved to doodle but hated coloring. After I created my Instagram account for digital art and started getting into color, the work became a bit easier, but rendering is still scary, and there are way too many people giving tutorials. I don't know who to listen to, I don't know what or how to learn. So, to save you some time, I have curated a list of tips and tools you need before you get to learning about color. Disclaimer: this is not a complete list of tips and tools, there's always more available, but this is just what I think is the simplest way. Tip 1: before getting into things like color theory or rendering or all the scary stuff, see what style of art you like. Take a look at all the artists you like. This is the first step to understanding what you want your art to look like. There is no one way of coloring or one technique that will boost your skills, but you cannot really start practicing color without knowing what style of coloring you like. Bonus tip: if the artist you like has a tutorial on coloring already, that makes your work a lot easier. For those who feel like they are interested in many coloring styles, that's completely okay. If anything, it's encouraged to not mimic an art style completely. Ethan Becker shows this very interesting way of extracting information of what exactly he likes from each art style and combining it to make it his own. Similarly, try to find what exactly you like in a way an artist has rendered color. For example, let's take the art of Khan Liu on Instagram. He is an illustration artist for Riot Games, but I only ever saw his Instagram posts. But he uses color so well and really pushes the hues to make his art vibrant. I was mostly inspired by his knowledge knowing how objects interacted with light. That was something I tried to take with this artwork of mine. It's not the best one I've done, but it's definitely an achievement. He was my inspiration back when I started digital art and still is. I will link his work in the description, definitely check him out. There are a lot of things we can learn from Kanli's art, but I think his way of coloring really defines his style. But he's not my only inspiration. So many artists have contributed to my understanding of color. Let me show you some more examples. You may already know Sam Does Arts, who's an amazing artist. He has a strong hold on color, especially sunlit artworks. So I, very badly, attempted pushing the colors to make a strong impact in this artwork. I was very satisfied with the color, not so much with the anatomy. I also used Marco Bucci's color style for this artwork. I also wanted to try my hand at different styles of rendering color, and while it may be frustrating sometimes, it's really that first step that makes your art better. Tip 2: don't learn coloring on its own. Learning color in theory is fine, but when it comes to implementation, people get lost. That's why learning color should come with other aspects that you're learning to draw. For example, say you want to learn how to draw hands. You look up some art tutorials and they draw some random lines and suddenly it becomes a hand? Impressive, but that's not the art tutorial you should look for. There are three types of anatomy tutorials. One uses inorganic shapes like boxes or circles, one uses the human skeleton or muscles, and the other uses organic shapes. You can learn it from whoever you want, but for me, organic shapes is the easiest and most efficient way you can learn anatomy. And if you learn anatomy clearly and easily, you can do coloring easily. But make sure they break down their steps and give you a simple coloring method. You don't want to complicate things for yourself. I strongly suggest learning from Cynic's design. He explains both anatomy and also general digital painting in such an easy manner. I will link his videos in the description. Tip 3: don't stress yourself with color theory. You don't have to make a conscious effort into every artwork to make sure your art uses color theory. You might as well throw all your motivation to learn in the trash. Most of the time, we unconsciously use color theory. This is because we have noticed so much color harmony in real life, which is the compatibility of color with one another. Basically, it's color combinations. So, we already know color theory. All you need to do is revise it once in a while and practice using it. It'll be useful later on, just not something you need to freak out about. Let me show you an example. Take a look at this picture. Right off the bat, you know the colors are great. But why? You try to pick the color and you notice that these are complementary colors in the color wheel. But that's not where it stops. If every color in this picture was its pure hue, it would look like this. Most of the details are lost because the saturation and value levels matter just as much. People often stop learning color theory after learning hue combinations, but color is about harmony, which I'll talk about later in the video. But if you're looking for an intermediate to advanced level of color theory tutorials, I will suggest Marco Bucci's tutorials on color. I will link all of them in the description. He is definitely one of the best teachers on YouTube for color. Tip 4. If you think your art looks dull or does not have the colors you expected, grayscale it. Well, but grayscale does not have any colors. Colors are made using HSV, hue, saturation, and value. Grayscaling shows you one characteristic of color, which is value. Value is about the lightness or darkness of a color. Even if you have pure hues together, which is the highest saturation and value, you will notice that under grayscale, the values are not the same. So it's good to step back and look at the values instead of hues. Take this art for example. I colored it with the fear of using stronger colors and it ended up looking very desaturated. Let's put that under grayscale and you can see the obvious flaws. I don't have the original artwork, but let's try fixing the colors by painting on top. I will try not to change the anatomy and focus on colors. The artwork definitely lacked definition and confidence, especially in the face, and the colored version, it was just so desaturated. The grayscale only makes it even more obvious. The character was supposed to be the main part of the artwork, but a lot of clear definition is missing. The only places I had used different values were in the hair and in the background, so I was worried about merging values. The hair that goes in the back was a little too dark, so I wanted to fix that as well. So let's see how it goes. As you can see, it's definitely much better and clearer. Since it's a very gloomy atmosphere, I couldn't give it super strong shadows, but the values turned out to be better. So if you feel your artwork is missing something, grayscale the art and see if the part you want is standing out. Tip 5. Do not oversaturate your art. We were speaking about undersaturated work and how we can fix that, but desaturated colors are just as important as saturated ones. A saturated color can only look saturated when a desaturated color surrounds it. If this color was surrounded by an even more saturated color, then this color would be the desaturated one. Confusing? I get it. In art, color only really makes sense in relation to other colors. Think of colors like a rock band. Every instrument in a rock band must play the right parts. You can't expect the drums to play like a lead guitar because drums handle rhythm in a rock song, not the tune. It holds the beat, which carries the entire song. So you can't not play drums because where it's rock. So colors are like that. You've seen those color theory videos. More often than not, it has to do with color relativity. In this video, the flowers look blue and then the background alters the way you see color, making it white. It's very confusing, but you'll get there. Sometimes I just pull a random artwork and I drop the whole thing just to see what is going on with the colors. It's like I discovered fire every time. Even while attempting coloring styles like hyperpop, which uses bright colors, it's the desaturation that makes hyperpop pop. And the other aspects of art, of course, like composition, shape language, and so on, makes hyperpop the way it is. It's really the balance of these art fundamentals that give you something that's pleasing to the eye, not just color. Let's move on to the tools you can use to learn coloring. But you don't need any fancy stuff. I have been using a free digital art application called Krita and it does the job very well. You don't need to use Photoshop to be an expert. There's an artist who goes by Jundi, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, who uses Medibank Paint. That is literally the most basic free application there is, but her artworks are so cool and refined. So the point is, you don't need to buy anything expensive. A pen tablet, however, is very much needed, but you can find cheap ones on the internet. I've only ever had one pen tablet in my life and it works like a charm. This is the XP Pen 01 V2. It's a very good pen tablet for beginners and intermediate users. I don't think it's in production anymore, but V3 is available, and there are also other cheaper options. So many artists use their fingers to draw on their phones using Ibis Paint and Autodesk Sketchbook. So you really don't need all the fancy stuff you think you need. The tools are all around you, and I'm going to tell you what to use. Apart from digital art applications and pen tablets, try using coolers. This is not something that will help you learn to draw, but it's an amazing color palette generator. You can use this to exercise color schemes. This will help you restrict your palette to colors that are in and around what Cooler suggests you or whatever color you want to pick from the generator. You can pick a dominant color and you can start painting based on that, or sometimes just let loose and do whatever. It's a fun exercise, and I'll definitely recommend Coolers to whoever wants to learn color theory better. I'll link it in the description. Art references. Before you get into coloring, you need to observe how color works. I would say actually look around and see if there are interesting color combinations and the proportions of dominant colors as compared to colors that are pushing the dominant colors even further. Look at placement of colors or how shape language plays into color. There's so much we can learn from the real world. Films are also a great reference for learning color if they're color graded well. Look for websites like FilmGrab that have really cool stills from films. I'll link it in the description. And the biggest upper hand artists have are other artists, not just for references but also a sense of community and the relief that you're not alone. In case you don't have much variety in the art styles you're aware of, I have a Pinterest board just for art styles that I've been collecting over the years, and some of them have an impeccable hold on color. I would definitely suggest going through those to see whose art you would like to see a bit of yourself in. Blending modes. This might feel like a shortcut, but not necessarily. Blending modes just make the process easier, but it does not make the art for you, so it's not really a shortcut. And it's not that simple either. You have to learn what each mode does with color and when to use what mode. But once you learn, it becomes a quick way to fix your color and make your work easier. Multiply is your best friend for shadows, overlay works like a sketch pen, and screen is for your highlights. These are the basic ones. The others like saturation, add, burn, and color dodge are not used very often. Sometimes blending modes act as filters to make your art look cooler, but that's just my opinion. Art critiques. Artists like Angel Ganev and Sam Does Arts do art critiques where they try to improve aspects of someone's art. They teach while they improve art, basically saying why they did what they did while improving someone's artwork. This is not only helpful for the person whose art is getting improved, but also for you watching such videos. They are jam packed with information that's so easy to digest. Tutorials. I think this one's the most obvious one, but there are so many tutorials that are just incorrectly teaching people color. I already mentioned them, but again, I would suggest watching tutorials by Angel Ganev, Cynics Design, Marco Bucci, Mark Brunette, Sam Does Arts, and Rocco, and whichever artist you want to take inspiration from and happens to have tutorials available. Proco has some intermediate level art tutorials which are so useful for artists like me who know just enough to make art but not enough to make my art look good. So definitely check out Proco. And that's all the tips and tools I had. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if it helped. I realize now that I didn't introduce myself. I am Semicality and I post my art on Instagram, and I will also start posting on YouTube. This is literally my first video, so let me know what you think and if you think there's something I can do better. You don't know me, but subscribe to my channel. Yeah, this is a bit awkward, but yeah, subscribe if you can. And I don't know how to end the video.